I just proved it's possible to increase your Capital One credit limit twice within 60 days, and previously it was thought that you needed to wait 6 months to accomplish this, but it really depends on what combination of strategies you deploy to force Capital One into increasing your limit. I'll even take it one step further. I actually raised my Capital One limit a total of 3 times this year with close to $0 in spend. So we have to talk about what strategies recently worked for me and why high spending surprisingly was not one of them. Before we get started, don't forget to download your 11 free credit limit increase strategies cheat sheet. Link is in the description. The first strategy I used was a simple one, and that was requesting a manual credit limit increase every 31 days after my billing statement cut. When requesting an increase, Capital One will only soft pull your credit score. There's absolutely no harm in setting a reminder to request an increase every single month. It just gives you more shots on goal. I initiated every last increase on this account, so don't leave money on the table thinking that you have to wait your turn. Absolutely not. You want to create your turn and force the issue. You might even be surprised what you get. Most banks require you to use the card as your daily carry to start growing your limit, and Capital One is largely the same, but I never did that in this situation. My Quicksilver card largely stayed tucked away in my credit card storage binder. So first, let me show you my process for filling out the Capital One credit limit increase application. For total income, I put my personal annual income, but if you pay attention to the fine print in the pop-up box, then you'll see you can include part-time income as well. You can even include other people's income only if they help you pay your expenses and they're over 21 years old. This alone could radically increase your income and allow you to qualify for a higher limit increase, since income is a huge factor in determining your credit worthiness. Also, this question is first on the list because it's the most important to Capital One, so keep that in mind. For employment status, personally, I would always pick employed. If you choose self-employed, banks will think you're bringing in unpredictable streams of income from multiple sources, which are considerably different than earning a single paycheck from one employer who pays you a salary or set hourly rate. If your income fluctuates or your self-employment income is seasonal, this might be considered less stable and slightly more risky for lenders. You may also be required to submit extra documents like tax returns that hold up the approval process. Next, when you ask how much you'll spend on this credit card, I use 30% of the available credit limit. 30% usage has been shown to be enough to trigger an automatic limit increase, so I think it's a good baseline for this application. Spending is such a massive portion of any credit card issuer's profit through the interchange fees that they charge merchants on every transaction, so it makes sense that they want some extra assurances that you have full intent on using the card heavily. For the maximum desired line, I always type in the total limit I actually want. Don't be shy here. Capital One will just counter offer you with the limit that they're comfortable with giving you. Since my current limit is so high, I always ask for $30,000. I've noticed if your current limit is below $5,000, then you have a good chance of getting a $3,000 increase, but as soon as you clear the $10,000 to $15,000 range, you're relegated to small $1,000 limit jumps. That brings us to why you're actually requesting an increase in the first place. I always choose the option that says I expect higher expenses over the next few months. I think this is the best option because it's telling the bank that you have multiple expenses, plural, I might add, that are higher now, and those expenses will be heightened over an extended period of time. All other options available wouldn't be nearly as profitable for the bank, so I feel good about my selection. After sending a manual increase request in March, I was approved for an additional $1,000, going from a $15,000 to a $16,000 limit. The next big thing I did was continue to increase the limits of my other credit cards whenever possible. My motto is always be asking for increases. A nationally recognized credit expert from FICO and Equifax says some issuers may even take into account the limits on other credit cards, which can be found on your credit reports. What he's saying here is that banks look at your other accounts' available credit limits to determine your starting limit and subsequent increases, so it's important to always seek the maximum limit on each card. This year, I raised the limit of my US Bank card, my Amazon store card, and my PayPal MasterCard. I've even noticed that my credit limits tend to average out to be around the same amount given enough time. Right now, that's between $13,000 and $15,000. So at this point, I was able to request a higher limit in July to go from a $16,000 to a $17,000 limit. The next major step I took was finally requesting a product change from my Quicksilver card to the new Venture X card. A product change just allows you to exchange your existing credit card for another one within the same credit card issuer's portfolio of products. Capital One is one of the few issuers that have a product change portal or landing page where you can go to see a whole lineup of cards that you can upgrade to at a moment's notice. It's really nice to have that level of control. I had been eyeing the Venture X card for months, and when I finally understood how I could use it in my lineup and how easy it would be to fully utilize that yearly statement credit, that's when I finally decided to pull the trigger and upgrade from my Quicksilver card that was getting barely any use. This method will change a few things, so it's important to know what to expect. A product change will only change your credit card security code, expiration date, annual fees in this situation, and benefits and rewards. The product change will not change your card number, account history, credit limit, and points in this situation. You also won't be eligible for the lucrative sign-up bonus the Venture X comes with, but the redeeming factor is you won't incur a hard credit pull with all three major credit bureaus. I think the banks like it when you use this feature because it shows that you're highly involved in using your card, and you're probably more likely to use a card you just signed up for. More and more I'm learning if you just use the incentives that the bank is marketing to you, the more favorable you start to appear in their algorithms. And I believe the combination of increasing my other credit card limits and product changing into their flagship card largely contributed to me achieving my second credit limit increase of the year. The next method I took advantage of is adding an authorized user. An authorized user is an additional card holder on someone else's credit card account. I added my wife as an authorized user during the product change application. They advertise this feature because adding a card holder to your account doubles the potential spending in their minds. So I think it's always good to add someone you trust to the account whenever it's possible. All I did was put her card in my storage wallet so it goes unused. When you set up an authorized user with Capital One, you get two options for account type, and that's account manager and authorized user. The account manager gets their own login information and unrestricted access to account details. The authorized user, on the other hand, doesn't get any login information, and their card can be locked by you, the account owner. But never forget, as the owner, you're responsible for everything happening on that account, even all the debt that's owed. So in September, I was approved for a third credit limit increase of $1,000, which brought my new limit up to $18,000. That was also my second increase in a 60-day period. And to learn more about the Venture X card, just hit the link in the description. So throughout this whole process, I virtually had no balances reported on this account. What's more puzzling is I had almost zero transactions on the account as well. So almost no usage, which contradicts my top strategy for increasing limits, and that's high usage. So what gives? I think they want to see a highly active cardholder who's receptive to their latest profitable marketing offers. I made my mark on this account in multiple ways other than just spending on the card. If I had just used my 30% spending rule of thumb, that would have required me to spend about $4,000 per month, and I'm not sure that I would have been able to do that this year. I understand if all of this sounds time consuming and a lot of work for just a little payoff, so if you're stuck in a low tier credit bucket and you're tired of dealing with Capital One, then I can show you 4 rare credit cards that allow you to get pre-approved and show you your starting credit limit all before you sign up. Definitely check out that video next. Thank you for watching, and you have a good one.